Before the desert was quiet, before the Nile had learned its rhythm, before the gods shaped the heavens into order, there was a hush upon the world. From that hush, like a golden note in a silent chamber, Hathor stirred. She was not born in thunder nor in the blaze of war, but in gentleness. The first light of dawn, brushing the sand with rose and gold, carried her spirit into being. Her crown was the shining disk of the sun, held between the horns of a great cow, and from her came warmth that spread across both gods and mortals alike. Are, the mighty sun, welcomed her as daughter and companion. Golden One, he called her, your laughter will brighten the weary, and your song will soothe the restless. Hathor bowed her head, smiling. Then let me walk among them, Father of light, and see the hearts I will cherish. And so, while other gods argued over kingdoms and law, Hathor looked to the simple joys. A mother rocking her child, a traveler pausing to sip cool water, a singer lifting her voice at dusk. Wherever such moments bloomed, Hathor's spirit glided like a breeze. The stars gathered themselves to watch her, for even they knew her presence made the night gentler. And deep beneath the earth, Are whispered, when sorrow rises, when darkness threatens, it is she who will bring back joy. Thus begins the tale of Hathor, not in battles or fiery conquests, but in kindness so steady it shaped the world as surely as stone and sky. The first place Hathor chose to walk was a meadow by the Nile, where reeds swayed like green pillars and lotus flowers opened their pale faces to the sun. She took the form of a cow, her hide shimmering gold, her hooves pressing gently into the earth. Wherever she stepped, grass grew thicker, sweet for grazing. The shepherds who wandered there saw her from afar. One whispered, "Is it real? Or do the morning mists play tricks?" Another fell to his knees. "No trick. It is the Lady of Joy." Hathor bent her head toward them, her eyes vast and soft. Her voice was gentle, flowing into their minds like river water. "Fear not. I bring no burden, only blessings. Rise and share your stories with me." And so the shepherds spoke. They told her of their long days guiding sheep and goats, of the heat that made them weary, of the songs they sang at night to ease their loneliness. Hathor listened, each word sinking into her heart. "Your songs are more precious than gold," she told them. "Sing, and I will dance among the reeds." They laughed, shy but eager, and lifted their voices. The sound was rough, untrained, but full of life. Hathor swayed, her golden horns catching the sunlight, the meadow glowing brighter with each note. Birds joined, trilling from the papyrus stalks, and soon the whole field felt alive with music. That night, when the shepherds lay down beneath the stars, dreams came to them sweeter than honey. They dreamt of green fields that never faded, of flocks that never strayed. They dreamt of Hathor's laughter, ringing like a bell over the Nile. From that night forward, they knew she would return whenever songs rose sincerely into the air. For Hathor, goddess of joy, had chosen to walk their meadows, and joy would never leave them. In the years that followed her first steps through the meadow, the name of Hathor spread gently across the Nile lands. Farmers spoke of her golden hide shining between reeds, mothers whispered her blessings over their children, and travelers told of how her presence made the long roads easier. Word carried swiftly, not with fear or command, but with love, like a song that lingered long after the singer had gone. It was during the season of inundation, when the Nile swelled its banks and the fields drank deep, that the people held their first festival for her. They called it the Festival of the Sistrum, for Hathor delighted most in that ringing instrument, whose rattling echoed the rhythm of life itself. The priests of her temple prepared the sacred halls with garlands of lotus and papyrus. They polished mirrors of bronze until they shone like tiny suns, for mirrors were sacred to her, symbols of beauty and reflection. At the center of the temple they placed a statue of the goddess, carved with care, her crown of horns encircling the solar disk, her face serene as flowing water. When the day arrived, men and women came from villages far and wide. They wore necklaces of faience beads and painted their eyes with kohl. Children clutched flowers, eager to offer them at Hathor's feet. As the priests raised their voices, the air filled with the sound of many sistrums, shaking in unison, like rain pattering on rooftops. And then, as the sun dipped lower, Hathor herself appeared. Not all could see her clearly, but all felt her, a warmth blossoming in their chests, a joy rising like the Nile. Those with pure hearts glimpsed her in the temple doorway, shimmering as both woman and cow, golden light bending around her form. "Children of the river," she said, her voice rippling like strings of a harp, "your songs reach me. Your laughter is the food I cherish most. Play your sistrums, and you will summon my presence whenever sorrow weighs too heavily." One young girl, bold and trembling, stepped forward. She raised her little bronze mirror and asked, "Lady Hathor, do you love us even when we are afraid?" Hathor bent to her, brushing a strand of hair from the child's brow. "Especially then," she whispered. "When fear closes your eyes, I will open them with light. When tears blur your face, I will lift you with joy." The girl's heart filled, and her laughter spilled into the air, a sound so bright that others joined her until the hall trembled with delight. The sistrums rang louder, echoing across the Nile. Fishermen on their boats paused to listen. Farmers in their fields raised their heads, feeling the goddess's presence in the evening breeze. That night, dreams spread through the land like perfumed smoke. Mothers dreamed of their children safe and strong. The weary dreamed of rest without burden. And in every dream, Hathor walked quietly, her laughter leaving ripples like silver across the waters. Thus the festival of the sistrum was born, and it would return year after year, not as duty, but as a celebration of joy itself. One evening, long after the festival of the sistrum had ended, Hathor returned quietly to the meadows where she had first revealed herself. The shepherds were still there, though their hair had grown streaked with silver and their hands roughened from years of guiding their flocks. They remembered her well, though they spoke of her now in hushed voices, as if fearing the memory might vanish if handled too boldly. Among them was a young boy no older than 12. He was the son of one of the shepherds, and though he had heard countless stories of the Golden One, he had never seen her with his own eyes. That night, as the stars deepened and the sheep lay quiet, the boy whispered to the sky, "Lady of Joy, will you show yourself to me as you did to my father?" His words drifted upward like smoke. And from the silence, Hathor appeared, not with thunder, but with a glow like moonlight brushing across the meadow. She came in the form of a woman this time, her skin gleaming as though the Nile's surface had taken shape, her crown of horns and disc shining faintly. The boy fell to his knees. "You came," he breathed. Hathor knelt beside him, her voice low and tender. "You called, child. When one calls with an honest heart, I will always come." The boy trembled. "Will I be a good shepherd, as my father was?" Hathor smiled and touched his brow. "You will be more. You will guide not only flocks, but hearts. For kindness is also a path to be tended." That night the boy dreamed. In his dream he saw fields that stretched farther than sight, flocks without number, and people gathered around him, listening to his voice as if it were music. He awoke with tears of joy, knowing the goddess had planted a seed of greatness within him. The shepherd's dream became known across the meadow, and soon the villagers whispered, "Hathor listens even to the smallest voice." Far above, the great sun god Ra made his daily voyage across the sky. Each evening, as the horizon swallowed him, he descended into the dark waters of the underworld, where shadows stirred and serpents writhed. Though he was mighty, even Ra grew weary of this endless cycle. It was Hathor who met him at the gates of night. She did not come with weapons, for none could defeat Apophis, the serpent of chaos, by strength alone. Instead, she carried a sistrum, its golden frame etched with stars. She shook it once, and its rattle filled the darkness like the memory of dawn. Ra lifted his head, smiling faintly. "Daughter of the sky, you come to ease my burden?" "Yes," Hathor replied. "Even the sun must rest. Let me sing, and your journey will be lighter." And so she sang. Her voice curled like smoke through the caverns, softening the hiss of serpents, steadying the oars of the gods who guided Ra's solar bark. Her melody wrapped around Ra himself, lulling his weariness until his heart glowed once more. "Your song," Ra said, "is the thread that ties day to day. Without you, even I might falter." Hathor only smiled, brushing his cheek with her light. "Then rest, Father of Light. Dawn waits for you." And when the first rays broke over the Nile, Are rose renewed, carrying Hathor's joy within him. Mortals who awoke to the sunrise felt it too, though they did not know the source, a strange happiness, as though the world had been freshly washed. Thus Hathor's song became an unseen part of every dawn, though few realized the goddess's voice carried them from night to day. In a small village by the river, artisans once crafted a mirror of polished silver, finer than any before. Its surface caught not only faces, but the very glimmer of the soul. They offered it to Hathor, setting it upon the altar of her temple. That night, the goddess came to claim it. She lifted the mirror in her hands and spoke, "This shall be my gift to dreamers. Through it, I will show not only what is, but what may yet be." From then on, those who prayed before Hathor's mirror dreamed vividly. A weaver dreamed of patterns more intricate than her hands had ever woven, and when she woke, she created them, bringing wealth to her village. A fisherman dreamed of hidden waters teeming with fish, and the next morning his nets overflowed. Yet the mirror did not only grant visions of gain. It also showed hearts their true desires. A lonely woman dreamed of laughter in her home, and soon adopted an orphan boy who filled her life with joy. A man troubled by anger dreamed of his fists turning into open hands, and he awoke gentler, changing the fate of his family. When people asked how these things could be, the priest said, "Hathor's mirror reflects the truth within you. What you see is not given, it is revealed." And so the mirror of dreams became a sacred treasure, guarded with care, yet open to all. Pilgrims traveled miles to kneel before it, not to beg for wealth or power, but to glimpse the hidden light within their own hearts. Hathor watched from the shadows of the temple, smiling softly, her joy growing brighter each time a mortal discovered the beauty already sleeping inside themselves. The desert stretched wide and endless, its dunes rising like waves of golden silence. Few dared to cross it alone, yet one young traveler did, a man named Kenaman. His sandals were worn, his jar of water nearly empty, and the sun beat down upon his back with relentless fire. He had heard tales of Hathor, the goddess who comforted mortals, and as his steps faltered, he whispered her name. "Golden One, if ever you walked with shepherds, if ever you guided the weary, walk with me now." His voice was hoarse, little more than breath, yet it reached her. From the shimmer of heat on the horizon, Hathor appeared. She did not come in thunder or blinding light, but in the form of a woman draped in linen as pale as moonlight. Her crown glowed softly, casting shade where none should have been. Kenaman fell to his knees. "Am I dying, lady?" Hathor touched his cheek. "Not yet. You are weary, but not lost. Rise and drink." She lifted her hand, and where her fingers brushed the sand, a trickle of water welled up, cool and sweet. Kenaman drank deeply, the strength returning to his limbs. Tears pricked his eyes. "Why do you help me? I am no priest, no king, only a wanderer." Hathor smiled, her eyes gentle. "Joy belongs to all, not only the mighty. Your life is precious as the sun's own flame." They walked together until the edge of the desert gave way to palms and shade. As he turned to thank her, she had vanished, leaving only the soft scent of lotus blossoms in the air. Kenaman reached the village beyond, carrying her story. And soon, travelers began to whisper, "Hathor walks the desert. If you call with a true heart, she will come." From then on, the desert seemed less cruel, for in its silence, people heard the echo of her steps. When night fell over Egypt, and the river gleamed like a ribbon of silver, Hathor often looked upward to the stars. She loved them, for they seemed like countless sistrums strung across the heavens, each one rattling faintly with light. One evening she climbed to the peak of a limestone cliff, overlooking the Nile. There she played her own sistrum, a delicate sound that drifted into the sky. At first, only silence answered. But then, faintly, the stars themselves began to sing. It was not a sound mortals could hear, but the heavens vibrated, like strings plucked by invisible hands. The constellations stirred, Sopdet, the star of Sirius, gleamed brighter, and Orion seemed to tilt his bow. A voice, soft yet vast, rose from the darkness. "Golden One, you call us?" "Yes," Hathor replied, her gaze lifted to the endless canopy. "Mortals often feel small beneath your expanse. They forget they belong to the stars as much as the stars belong to them. I wish for your music to remind them." The stars hummed in agreement, and their song wove into hers, creating a harmony so tender that even the river paused, its waves stilled to listen. That night, those who slept by the Nile dreamed of light. Some dreamed of journeys across distant seas, others of loved ones lost who smiled once more beneath the starry sky. And when they awoke, their hearts were lighter, their burdens softened. Thus Hathor became known as the mistress of the stars, for it was said her sistrum could draw music even from the heavens. And whenever mortals felt small beneath the vast night, they whispered her name, knowing she had tied their hearts to the sky. In the village of Wazit lived a painter named Nebra, known not for his wealth, but for the care he gave his colors. He ground ochre and malachite with his own hands, mixing them with oils until they shone like sunlight and river water. Yet though his skill was great, his heart often grew heavy. For no matter how beautiful his work, he feared his art might vanish, forgotten like dust blown into the desert. One evening, Nebra set aside his brushes and sighed. "What is the worth of beauty if it fades?" he asked the silence. "Even the lotus wilts. Even the brightest pigment dulls." From the corner of his workshop, a soft glow answered. Hathor herself appeared, draped in linen the color of dawn. Her golden disk gleamed faintly, and her laughter filled the small room like birdsong. "Do you think beauty dies so quickly, child of the brush?" she asked. Nebra fell to his knees. "Lady of joy, forgive me. I am only a man who fears his hands cannot hold the eternal." Hathor lifted his chin gently. Beauty is not meant to be caged. A song fades the moment it is sung, yet it lingers in the heart. A flower wilts, yet its memory stirs smiles. Even your paints, though they crumble in time, are offerings not to the stone, but to the spirit. That is eternal. Nebra wept, his heart eased by her words. "Then let my brush be for you, O Golden One." He worked through the night, guided by her presence. Upon the plastered wall he painted Hathor herself, radiant and serene, holding the sistrum in one hand and a mirror in the other. By dawn the painting shone with such life that villagers gathered, whispering, "She is here with us." Hathor smiled at Nebra, unseen by the crowd, and whispered, "Your gift will not vanish. It will live in every heart that beholds it." And so, the painter's gift became a holy image, visited for generations. Mothers brought their children before it, lovers whispered vows beneath it, and weary souls found comfort in its golden hues. Though pigments fade with centuries, the joy of that painting lingered, eternal as Hathor promised. Beyond the desert's edge, far from villages and temples, lay a secret oasis, known only to travelers who wandered too far. Its palms bent gracefully toward clear waters, and its air shimmered with quiet peace. Few stumbled upon it, yet those who did felt as though the goddess herself had guided their steps. One day, a caravan lost in the shifting dunes despaired. Their water jars were empty, their camels weary, and arguments broke among them. "We are doomed," one man said bitterly. "The sands will bury our bones." But a young woman in the caravan lifted her face to the sky and prayed, "Hathor, Lady of the West, you who comfort the weary, hear us." As if in answer, a soft wind stirred. From the dunes came the sound of rattling, faint yet steady, the sound of a sistrum. They followed it, stumbling with what little strength remained, until they crested a hill of sand. Below them spread the hidden oasis, its waters gleaming like glass. The caravan rushed forward, drinking deeply, tears mingling with laughter. Yet the young woman lingered. By the water's edge she saw Hathor herself, seated upon a stone, her golden horns reflecting in the pool. "Why do you tarry, child?" the goddess asked, smiling. The woman bowed low. "Lady, I wish to thank you. Without your guidance, we would have perished." Hathor rose, placing a hand upon her shoulder. "Remember this. Not all gifts are to be hoarded. Share what you have found." Tell others of the oasis so that no traveler need suffer as you did." The woman promised, and when the caravan returned to their village, she spread the tale. Soon maps were drawn, and the once hidden oasis became a refuge for all who crossed the desert. And so it was said that Hathor herself had planted that pool long ago, saving it for the day her children most needed hope. To drink from its waters was to taste her blessing, cool, sweet, and unending. In a quiet village along the Nile, there grew a small grove of lotus flowers, their pale petals gleaming softly beneath the moon. The villagers often walked there at night, hoping for peace after long days of toil, but none ever lingered too long, for the air of the grove seemed almost alive, carrying whispers that could stir the heart and mind alike. One night, Hathor descended, her golden horns catching the starlight as she walked lightly among the blossoms. Her presence did not announce itself with thunder or fire, only with a faint warmth, like sunlight spilling across the surface of water. She crouched beside a young mother who was tending her child, who had cried through the heat of the day. "Fear not," Hathor said softly, brushing a hand over the child's brow. Her voice was as gentle as the rustling of reeds. "Sleep comes not only to the weary of the body, but to the weary of the heart." The mother, astonished, whispered, "Lady Hathor, how do you find us in the quiet night?" "I listen," the goddess replied, "to the hidden sighs, the softest laughter, the faintest cry. No sorrow is too small for me to feel. I walk where hearts call me, even in silence." Around them, the lotus leaves trembled as though nodding in agreement. The petals swayed with a rhythm that matched Hathor's breathing, and soon, the mother's eyes grew heavy. The child nestled against her, and both drifted into a calm, dreamless sleep that stretched gently into the night. Hathor rose and walked slowly through the grove. Each step left faint golden light upon the petals, and with every movement, the whispers of the lotus seemed to form words of comfort. She spoke to the night air, "All who seek peace may find it, and those who awaken will carry it with them." By the time dawn broke, the villagers awoke to find the grove shimmering faintly, as if touched by a dream. They did not see Hathor's departure, but they knew. Her blessing had been there, woven into the silence, a quiet joy to guide them through another day. Hathor often wandered the Nile at dawn, her golden form reflected in the waters like sunlight painted across glass. She loved the river's endless flow, the way it carried life silently, generously, to fields, villages, and distant towns. She walked along its banks, touching the water lightly, sending ripples that glimmered like tiny stars. One morning, she encountered a boy sitting alone on the riverbank, tossing small stones into the current. His face was smudged with dust, his clothes torn, yet his eyes held a quiet sadness. Hathor knelt beside him. "Why do you sit here alone, little one?" she asked, her voice as soft as the wind over reeds. The boy started, unsure if he had imagined the light that shimmered before him. I have no family," he said. "I am just a traveler. The river carries me, but I do not know where to go." Hathor smiled. "Even rivers, though they flow without end, find their way to the sea. You, too, will find where you belong." She held out her hand. "Come, let me show you the golden path." He hesitated, then took her hand. The water beneath them glowed faintly, reflecting her light. As they walked along the river's edge, Hathor told him stories of the Nile, of its creatures, its hidden gardens, its mysteries. The boy listened, mesmerized, and for the first time in his life, he felt the quiet joy of belonging. Hours passed as if in a single breath. When the sun climbed higher, Hathor stopped. "Now, little one, you carry the river with you in your heart. You may continue your journey, and wherever you go, know that the Nile flows beside you, and I am never far." The boy knelt and whispered, "Thank you, Lady Hathor. I will remember." And so he walked on, guided not only by the river, but by the gentle light of the goddess, who had touched his heart with golden warmth. From that day forward, travelers along the Nile whispered of the golden river, where the goddess herself walked, leaving trails of peace for all who needed it. In a quiet village along the banks of the Nile, there lived a weaver named Mary. She was known for her skill with the loom, though her art never matched the brilliance she envisioned in her dreams. Each day she worked from dawn until the sun dipped low into the horizon, her fingers raw and aching, yet the threads remained dull, failing to capture the sunlight, the water, or the sky's colors. One afternoon, exhausted and frustrated, she leaned against her loom and whispered, "Why do I toil in vain? Even the sun touches the river, even the stars touch the night, yet I touch nothing but threads that will fray and fade." A warm light, soft yet radiant, filled her tiny workshop. The air smelled faintly of lotus and river breeze. Hathor appeared, her golden horns catching the light of the afternoon, her eyes gentle and radiant. She moved silently, as if gliding on the air itself, and Mary felt a shiver of awe. "You see only the thread," Hathor said, kneeling beside her. "Yet you do not see the song hidden in your hands, the warmth in each motion. Beauty is not only in the finished cloth, but in the care and joy you pour into it." Mary's eyes filled with tears. "But Lady Hathor, I want to create something eternal, something bright enough to be remembered forever." The goddess lifted her hands and placed them lightly over Mary's fingers. Slowly, the loom moved under their joined hands, threads twisting and shining with colors Mary had never seen, deep golds that shimmered like sunlight on the Nile, soft blues like morning sky, and gentle pinks like the first lotus petals at dawn. "See," Hathor whispered, "joy itself becomes beauty. You do not need to capture eternity, you only need to reflect it, one thread at a time." Mary wove through the night, guided by Hathor's presence. The villagers who passed the window saw the cloth glowing faintly, as if the stars themselves had touched it. By sunrise, the tapestry was complete. A vibrant scene of river, reeds, and lotus, with a golden figure walking calmly among them, her laughter visible in the ripples of water and the sway of flowers. Hathor smiled at Mary, her gaze warm. "Your work will live not because it is perfect, but because it carries the light of a gentle heart. Every hand that touches it will feel that warmth." From that day on, Mary's cloths became treasured by villagers and travelers alike. Yet Mary never forgot the night Hathor held her hands, guiding her to see the beauty already within herself. Each time she wove, she whispered a soft thanks, feeling the goddess's presence in every thread, in every golden shimmer that caught the sunlight. Hathor often roamed the horizon at dawn, moving along the desert edges where the sands rolled like waves of molten gold. Some days she appeared as a woman radiant in linen robes, at other times as a cow with soft golden hide and gentle, knowing eyes. She walked slowly, deliberately, letting her presence ripple across the dunes, comforting the hidden hearts of mortals who never knew she was near. One morning, a caravan of merchants crested the highest dune, their camels exhausted, their water nearly gone. They had wandered far from the known routes, lost in a desert that offered no shade, no mercy. The leader, wiping sweat from his brow, muttered bitterly, "Perhaps this is the end. Perhaps the sands will swallow us whole." A soft, golden shimmer appeared along the horizon. Hathor emerged, walking lightly across the sand, her horns reflecting the early sun. She radiated calm and reassurance, a presence that could not startle but only soothe. "Lost travelers," she said softly, her voice like wind over reeds, "why do you despair?" The merchants froze, awestruck. "Lady Hathor," one exclaimed. How can you appear here?" "I walk where hearts call me," she replied, her eyes kind and deep as water. "Where fear and exhaustion dwell, I follow, leaving traces of hope." One young merchant stepped forward, trembling. "Lady, will you guide us?" Hathor nodded. "I can, but know this, it is not I who carries you alone. Your courage, your perseverance, and your willingness to keep moving, these are the currents. I am only the light to remind you of the strength you already hold." She lowered her head, her hooves brushing the sand, leaving faint gold flecks that shimmered like stars. She walked slowly beside the caravan, and with each step, the weight of the journey seemed lighter. The camels stirred, their weariness eased, and the merchants felt their spirits lift, carrying them forward across the dunes. Hours passed, the sun climbing high. Hathor never hurried, allowing the caravan to find its rhythm. She told gentle stories of desert flowers, of the Nile, of hidden gardens and oasis waters, filling the air with calm and quiet joy. By late afternoon, the green banks of the Nile appeared in the distance. The merchants fell to their knees, whispering prayers of gratitude. Hathor smiled, quietly stepping back, her glow fading as she merged into the horizon, leaving only a faint shimmer across the sand and a memory of gentle guidance that would carry their hearts long after the journey ended. In the heart of Upper Egypt, near the banks of the Nile, a temple dedicated to Ra stood proudly, its sandstone walls gleaming in the morning sun. Yet, even amidst such grandeur, the priests often whispered that something was missing. The temple lacked the gentle joy that nourished the soul. The villagers, who had walked many leagues to offer gifts and prayers, sensed this absence, for devotion alone could not fill the hollow place inside hearts. Hathor, hearing their quiet sighs and feeling the prayers in the wind, decided to visit the temple at dawn. She entered softly, her golden horns glinting faintly as her feet barely touched the polished stone floor. The air seemed to shimmer with her presence, yet she moved like a whisper, gentle and unobtrusive. A young priest, carrying a tray of lotus flowers, froze. "Lady Hathor," he murmured, bowing low. "Why do you honor us with your presence?" "The temple belongs to Ra." Hathor smiled. "The temple belongs to all who seek solace here. Even Ra appreciates the quiet joy that nourishes hearts." She walked among the columns, touching the carvings lightly. "See these stories etched in stone? They tell of kings and battles, of power and conquest. But without love and peace, even victory feels hollow." The priests listened in awe as she continued. "Let music fill these halls. Let laughter and song echo between these stones. I will help you remember that joy is a gift as sacred as devotion." Then Hathor reached for her sistrum, shaking it gently. The soft clinking sound rippled through the temple, resonating in every carved corner. The priests and villagers who had gathered felt an unfamiliar warmth. Even the sun, streaming through the high windows, seemed to bend its light to touch each heart. By the time the Festival of Offerings began, the temple had transformed. Children's laughter mingled with the ringing of sistrums. Priests smiled as they walked, a lightness in their steps. Hathor lingered until the last flower had been placed, her presence unseen by many, yet felt by all. As she departed, she whispered, "Where joy walks, even the walls themselves remember." And from that day, the Temple of the Rising Sun became more than a place of worship. It became a sanctuary for hearts, where devotion and joy walked hand in hand, guided by the gentle hand of Hathor. Beyond the temple, nestled in a quiet bend of the river, there was a hidden orchard. Its trees bore golden apples that glowed faintly in moonlight, and the air smelled of sweet blossoms, warm and comforting. Few mortals had discovered it, yet those who did left with hearts forever touched by a gentle magic they could never fully explain. Hathor often visited the orchard in the early hours of night, walking slowly beneath the branches, her golden horns catching the pale light. She enjoyed watching the way the leaves swayed in the breeze, like dancers keeping time with the silent rhythm of the world. One night, a young girl named Anuket wandered into the orchard, following the soft hum of the river. Her eyes were wide with wonder as she stepped among the trees, drawn forward by a sense of safety and quiet delight. Hathor appeared before her, her glow soft and warm. "Child, you have wandered far. Why do you come here alone?" Anuket hesitated, then said softly, I cannot sleep. My thoughts are heavy. I am afraid of the night." Hathor knelt beside her. "Fear is only a shadow, and shadows disappear when met with light. Rest your heart here, and I will watch over you." She gestured to a low branch heavy with golden fruit. "Touch the apples. Let their warmth seep into your hands. Let the orchard cradle your mind as I cradle your heart." The girl obeyed, her fingers brushing the glowing fruit. A quiet calm washed over her, and she felt her worries dissolve like morning mist. Hathor's laughter, soft as wind through reeds, echoed around her. "Even the darkest night is temporary, child. Joy and light await always, if you remember where to find them." Anuket fell asleep beneath the trees, dreams full of gentle rivers, dancing stars, and golden light. Hathor lingered, moving through the orchard like a soft breeze, ensuring each sleeping mortal felt the touch of peace. By dawn, the girl awoke refreshed, carrying the orchard's calm in her heart, knowing she was never truly alone. The orchard became a quiet sanctuary, a place whispered about by villagers and travelers alike. And it was said that anyone who wandered there at night would always find Hathor, golden and gentle, walking among the trees, guiding hearts toward rest, joy, and gentle dreams. Along a quiet bend of the Nile, a fisherman named Paddy Friday cast his nets day after day. The river was generous yet unpredictable, and some days brought abundance, while others offered only empty nets. Paddy Friday loved the Nile, yet a quiet worry grew in his heart. How could he provide for his small family if the river did not yield? One early morning, just as the sun began to brush the water with rose and gold, he whispered to the river, "If you hear me, guide my nets today, and I will give thanks in a way worthy of the gods." From the shimmer on the river's surface, Hathor appeared. Her golden horns glinted faintly in the soft morning light, and her presence radiated calm, as though the river itself had taken form. "Child of the Nile," she said, her voice flowing like water over stones, "you honor the river with care and respect, and that is enough to summon joy." Paddy Friday dropped to his knees, eyes wide. "Lady Hathor, I did not expect." "Expect nothing," she replied, smiling. "Only receive." She stepped lightly into the shallow water, her hands brushing the surface, sending ripples that glimmered like tiny stars. When Paddy Friday cast his nets again, they came up heavy with fish, more than he had ever caught in a single morning. Yet it was not only quantity he noticed. The fish were bright and healthy, the water clear and cool, carrying a gentle energy that seemed to pulse beneath his hands. Paddy Friday laughed, awe-filling him. "Lady Hathor, you have blessed me beyond measure." "Not I alone," she said, touching his shoulder. "The river flows through all things. Your respect, your patience, your care, these are what awaken the river's generosity. I only remind mortals to notice the gifts already around them." That evening, Paddy Friday offered thanks in the quiet of his small home, lighting incense and whispering a prayer to Hathor. When he lay down to sleep, dreams came gently. The river flowing endlessly, fish leaping with joy, and Hathor walking along the banks, her laughter echoing softly through the reeds. From that day forward, Paddy Friday's nets never came up empty again, for he carried not only the river's bounty, but also the calm and joy that Hathor left in his heart. In a village far from the river's heart, the nights were long and dark. Few torches burned, and shadows crept between the narrow streets. People whispered of fear, of restless spirits, and of dreams that turned bitter beneath the moon. One night, a young boy named Amini walked alone, holding a small clay lantern that barely lit his path. He was afraid, yet he carried it dutifully, determined to reach his mother's home on the far side of the village. Hathor appeared silently, her golden horns catching the moonlight, her robes flowing like a gentle current of air. She did not startle Amini. Rather, he felt a soft warmth, as though a breeze carrying sunlight had settled over him. "Child," she said softly, "why do you carry this lantern so fearfully?" I am afraid of the night," Amini whispered, clutching the lantern closer. "The shadows seem to move, and I cannot see the path clearly." Hathor knelt beside him. "The night is only a resting place, a moment of quiet. It hides nothing that the light of joy cannot touch. Walk with me, and I will guide you." She took his small hand, and together they walked. The lantern, once dim and trembling, grew steady, as if infused with a gentle glow from Hathor herself. The shadows that had seemed so frightening now appeared soft, bending like reeds in the wind. The village, once strange and intimidating, felt peaceful under her quiet guidance. Amini looked up, eyes wide. "Lady Hathor, will you always be near?" "Whenever hearts call me," she said, her voice warm, "I am there. Even when I am unseen, my presence guides the paths of the fearful, the tired, and the lost. You need only walk with courage, and I will carry the light for you." By the time Amini reached his mother, the lantern glowed like a small star in the quiet night. Hathor remained nearby, walking lightly between shadows, ensuring the peace of the boy's heart. As the moon rose higher, the villagers slept, dreams softened by unseen hands, each carrying the calm of Hathor's guidance. The lantern of the night became a story passed among children for generations, a tale of the goddess who walks unseen through darkness, bringing gentle light, quiet reassurance, and peace to all who fear the night. In a fertile valley along the Nile, the villagers labored under the late summer sun, harvesting grain that had ripened golden under the warmth of Ra's light. Though their fields were abundant, many carried heavy hearts. Days of toil were long and unending, and even the joy of harvest seemed fleeting, overshadowed by the worries of winter stores, droughts, and wandering thieves. Hathor walked quietly among the workers that morning, appearing first as a radiant woman, her golden horns catching the sun, then shifting to the form of a gentle cow whose eyes reflected calm and kindness. Her presence did not startle, but it lifted spirits in the subtle way that a soft breeze cools weary shoulders. One farmer, Anupu, paused in the field, staring at the shimmering figure. "Lady Hathor," he asked, wiping sweat from his brow, "why do you come to us?" "I come because joy is needed," she replied, voice gentle as the river's current. "You labor under the sun, yet your hearts are heavy. I am here to remind you that your work is sacred, that happiness need not wait for rest. It may walk beside you even in toil." Anupu laughed softly, a sound filled with disbelief. "Even here? In the dust and heat?" Hathor knelt and touched a sheaf of grain. "Even here. Every stalk you touch, every seed you gather carries the gift of life. Let your hands rejoice in what they hold. Let your laughter rise alongside the song of the river." The villagers began to hum softly, then sing, their voices weaving together like threads of warmth. The rhythm of their movements seemed lighter. Even the oxen pulling carts walked with gentleness. Hathor moved among them, her laughter ringing softly, the golden dust of her hooves settling on the grain, blessing it with quiet joy. By dusk, the harvest was complete, and the villagers gathered to offer thanks. Hathor watched from the edge of the fields, shimmering in the last rays of sun. "Remember," she said softly, "joy is not in abundance alone, but in the heart that notices the smallest gift." That night, the villagers slept more peacefully than they had in weeks, dreams filled with golden fields, rivers flowing endlessly, and a gentle goddess walking among them, leaving laughter in her wake. And in the quiet of the valley, it was said that even the grain whispered with the soft memory of Hathor's blessing. At dawn, the Nile gleamed like a ribbon of silver stretching across the land. Its waters carried life to distant villages, its currents singing a quiet melody that few truly heard. Hathor often walked its banks at this hour, her golden form mirrored in the water, her horns catching the first rays of sunlight. One morning, a boat drifted lazily along the river. On it sat a young musician named Kem, plucking the strings of a lyre. His melody was simple, yet filled with longing, a quiet yearning for something he could not name. The river carried the sound, rippling through reeds and lotus flowers, yet it seemed incomplete, missing a spark of life. Hathor appeared on the riverbank, smiling softly. "Child," she said, voice flowing like water over stones, "why do you play so quietly?" Kem looked up, startled. "Lady Hathor, I only wish to honor the river, to sing what my heart feels. But it seems small. Not enough." She knelt beside him, brushing a hand over the strings. "Do not measure your gift against grandeur. Music, like joy, flows through the heart first. Let your heart guide your hands, and the river itself will carry your song to those who need it." Hathor plucked a gentle chord, and Kem followed, his melody blending with hers. The river seemed to shimmer with golden light, lotus petals trembling as if dancing to the music. Birds rose from the reeds, their calls harmonizing with the lyre, and the wind carried the sound downstream, touching villages and fields alike. For hours they played, until the sun rose high and the air itself seemed infused with warmth. Kem felt his worries dissolve, replaced with a calm joy he had never known. "Aye, I feel as though the river sings with me, he whispered. Hathor smiled. It does, for the river carries all who listen. Music, joy, life, they are threads of the same tapestry. Play with love, and the world itself will join your song. By the time Kem returned to his village, villagers paused to listen as he played, noticing the river's melody in every note. They spoke in whispers of a golden goddess who walked the banks, whose gentle guidance turned simple music into a song of life, a melody that would echo in hearts for generations. In a bustling village along the Nile, preparations were underway for the Festival of Mirrors, a celebration in honor of Hathor. The villagers polished bronze mirrors until they gleamed, strung garlands of lotus and papyrus, and painted the walls of their homes with vibrant scenes of the goddess's many forms. Children ran through the streets, laughing, their small hands carrying flowers to offer at her shrine. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, Hathor appeared in a shimmer of golden light. Her horns glowed softly, her eyes reflecting the colors of the evening sky. She moved slowly, her presence stirring a warmth that made every heart lighter. Even the river seemed to hold its breath, shimmering in anticipation. A young girl, Senu, approached the goddess, clutching a small bronze mirror in her hands. Her eyes were wide with awe, and her voice trembled. Lady Hathor, will you see my offering? Hathor knelt, lifting Senu's hands to her face. I see all gifts, whether grand or humble, but the heart with which they are offered is what matters most. Senu smiled, feeling her fear dissolve in the warmth of Hathor's gaze. The goddess gently shook the sistrum at her side, and its soft rattle echoed through the village like a lullaby. Soon, every child joined, shaking their small sistrums, their laughter mingling with the gentle music. Hathor walked slowly through the festival, touching the mirrors with her fingertips. Each one shimmered, reflecting not only the faces of those who gazed into them, but also the quiet light within their hearts. Villagers paused, seeing themselves not as they feared they were, but as they could be joyful, radiant, and beloved. By the time night fell, lanterns glowed softly, illuminating the village with a golden light. Hathor lingered at the edge of the river, watching as dreams spread through every home, carrying her calm, her joy, and her gentle presence. And it was whispered for generations that anyone who gazed into a mirror during the Festival of Mirrors could feel the goddess's blessing, a warmth that lingered long after the festival ended. Far beyond the village, high on a gentle hillside, a shepherd named Cain tended his flock under the vast night sky. The stars gleamed like scattered jewels, but tonight, Cain felt restless. The night was quiet, yet his heart could not find peace. He whispered into the cool breeze, Hathor, if you hear me, walk with me. Guide me as you guide the hearts of others. From the shimmer above the horizon, Hathor appeared. Her form glowed faintly, a woman radiant with gold, shifting occasionally into her gentle cow form. She walked silently beside the shepherd, her presence carrying a soft warmth that made the chill of night vanish. Child of the hills, she said softly, why do you call? I am alone, Cain replied, and yet I feel that my heart is not empty. I seek something I cannot name. Hathor knelt beside him, her fingers brushing the soft grass. Even alone, your heart holds a universe. The stars above, the river below, the flock you guide. They all whisper to you of your purpose. Let me show you how to see it. Together they walked, and the stars seemed to shift as if listening. Hathor pointed to constellations, tracing shapes with her hand, Orion lifting his bow, the gentle rise of the Great Bear, and the shining path of Sirius. These lights, she said, are not distant or unfeeling. They reflect the hopes and joys of mortals. Your heart is part of this harmony, and so you are never truly alone. Cain's heart swelled with a quiet warmth. He began to hum softly, a melody that matched the rhythm of the stars. Hathor smiled, gently shaking her sistrum, the sound weaving with his song, carrying it across the hills. His sheep stirred, calm and unafraid, as if they too recognized the blessing. By the first hints of dawn, Cain returned to his small hut, carrying the memory of Hathor walking beside him. Even in the light of day, he felt the quiet joy of the night and the gentle guidance of the goddess. And it was said that shepherds who gazed at the stars on clear nights could feel her presence, listening to the quiet music that linked all hearts under the vast, eternal sky. In a quiet village along the Nile, a potter named Ipe worked from sunrise to sunset. His hands were strong, his skill undeniable, yet something was missing in his creations. Each vase he shaped was flawless in form, yet hollow in spirit, lacking the warmth that touched the heart. He often sighed at night, gazing at the river, and whispered, "If only I could craft something that sings, something that brings joy." Hathor, hearing his quiet longing, appeared one evening as the sun dipped behind the western hills. Her horns gleamed softly, and her presence radiated a gentle warmth that made the air shimmer. She approached Ipe silently, her robes brushing against the earth like flowing water. "Child," she said, kneeling beside his wheel, "why do you labor so alone, forgetting the joy in your hands?" Ipe jumped, startled. "Lady Hathor, I wish only to create beauty, but I fear my work is empty." "Beauty is not measured by form alone," she replied, brushing her fingers lightly over the wet clay. "It is the care, the love, and the joy you pour into it that brings life. Let me help you see what your heart already knows." Together they worked through the evening. Hathor guided his hands, showing him how to let the clay breathe with intention, how to shape it not only with skill, but with joy. She whispered softly as he molded, her voice mingling with the gentle turning of the wheel, creating a rhythm that echoed like a lullaby. By midnight, Ipe had completed a vase unlike any he had made before. Its curves seemed to capture sunlight and moonlight at once. Its surface shimmered as if touched by a living warmth. When the villagers saw it the next morning, they were silent in awe. "It is as though it holds a heartbeat," one whispered. Hathor lingered until dawn, smiling at the potter. "Remember," she said softly, "true creation flows from the heart. When you craft with joy, you touch the soul of the world." From that day, Ipe's workshop became a sanctuary, not for skill alone, but for gentle creation. Travelers who visited left carrying vases filled not just with clay, but with the calm, golden warmth of Hathor's touch. And at night, Ipe would dream of her walking beside him, guiding his hands as he shaped the soft, living clay into vessels that carried light into the world. Far across the desert, where dunes rolled endlessly under the burning sun, a caravan trudged quietly, weary from days without water. The merchants spoke little, their lips dry, their camels slowed by fatigue. Each step seemed heavier than the last, and the horizon offered only more endless sand. In the shimmering heat, a golden light appeared, soft yet unmistakable. Hathor emerged, her presence gentle and calm, her golden horns catching the sunlight and scattering it like tiny sparks across the dunes. Her form radiated reassurance, carrying with it the quiet promise of relief. A young merchant named Aminum stepped forward, staggering. "Lady Hathor, if you hear me, we are lost, and we have nothing left. Will you guide us?" Hathor knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Even the longest journey can be softened," she said, her voice like a flowing river. "Your hearts carry strength, though you may not see it. I am here to remind you of it, to walk alongside until your burden is lighter." As she moved among the caravan, each footfall left faint golden sparks on the sand. The camels lifted their heads, sensing a calm they had not felt for days. The merchants felt courage return to their hearts, a quiet steadiness in place of despair. Hathor's presence wrapped around them, soft as the night breeze and warm as morning light on the dunes. She guided them slowly, showing hidden paths where water pools glimmered beneath the heat shimmer. She whispered to them stories of distant oases, of travelers who had wandered far and found gentle relief, and of the quiet joy that came from noticing the smallest gifts, the shade of a palm, the taste of cool water, the feeling of safe feet on the sand. By evening, the caravan arrived at a hidden oasis, its waters calm and inviting, its palms bending gracefully over the pool. The merchants fell to their knees, tears of gratitude in their eyes. Hathor lingered on the dunes, smiling, before disappearing quietly into the horizon, leaving only the faint glow of golden light in the sand and the memory of calm, steady hope that would carry them through every future journey. Along the banks of a quiet tributary of the Nile, there grew a hidden garden, filled with reeds that swayed in rhythm with the river. Their rustling created a soft, whispering sound, like secrets shared between the wind and water. Few mortals ventured there, yet those who did always left with a sense of peace, as if the river itself had poured calm into their hearts. One evening, Hathor wandered into the garden, her golden horns glowing faintly in the twilight. She moved among the reeds with the lightness of wind over water, her presence infusing the air with warmth and quiet joy. The reeds seemed to bend gently toward her, their soft whispers growing into a harmonious murmur. A young boy named Passer had wandered into the garden, following the whispering sounds. His eyes were wide, filled with wonder, and he carried a small clay flute that he had played all afternoon without drawing the notes he desired. "Who is there?" he called softly, his voice trembling. Hathor stepped forward, smiling gently. "I am Hathor, child. The garden spoke your longing, and I have come to walk with you." Passer knelt, unsure whether to speak or fall silent. "Lady Hathor, I wish to make music, but my flute sounds hollow." "Music lives not only in the instrument," she said, brushing her fingers over the reeds. "It flows from the heart. Listen to the whispers of the reeds, the song of the river, the hum of the earth. Let them guide you, and your music will bloom." Together they walked among the reeds, Hathor lightly shaking her sistrum to weave a rhythm through the rustling of the stalks. Slowly, Passer lifted his flute and played. The notes, once timid, grew full and clear, harmonizing with the gentle murmurs of the garden. Birds perched among the reeds, joining the melody with soft trills, and fireflies glimmered like tiny stars, dancing in time with the music. By the time the moon rose high, Passer's music had filled the garden with joy and calm. Hathor knelt, smiling at him. "Remember, child, the heart is the true instrument. When it sings, all of nature sings with you." Passer left the garden with a light step, carrying the melody in his heart. And it was said that travelers who passed by that tributary at night could hear faint, golden notes floating over the reeds, the song of Hathor guiding hearts to rest and peace. In another village, far from the river's edge, a weaver named Tia labored late into the night. She wove patterns of lotus and river reeds, of birds and stars, but her heart felt restless. The threads in her hands were strong, yet her spirit longed for something she could not name. She whispered into the quiet room, "Hathor, if you walk among the living, walk with me. Show me the joy that flows beyond my loom." As if in answer, a soft golden glow filled the room. Hathor appeared, her presence quiet but radiant, her golden horns catching the dim moonlight filtering through the window. She did not speak at first. She simply knelt beside the loom, placing her hand over Tia's. The threads seemed to shimmer beneath her touch. "You seek more than skill," Hathor said softly. "You seek the song that your heart longs to weave. Each thread carries more than pattern. It carries the joy, the care, the love you pour into it. Let me show you how to see it." Together they worked, weaving slowly through the night. Hathor guided Tia's hands, showing her how to let the patterns breathe with intention, how to allow the colors to speak without forcing them. The fabric seemed to glow faintly with golden light, as though carrying whispers of the goddess herself. Tia's mind quieted, and her heart began to hum along with the gentle rhythm of the loom. She spoke softly as she wove. "It feels alive, as if it carries a heartbeat." Hathor smiled. "It does, child. Your hands are instruments, and your heart is the music. Every thread is a note, and together they sing a melody of joy that will linger in every home that sees it." By the first light of dawn, Tia had finished her creation. Villagers who saw it gasped at the delicate beauty, unaware of Hathor's presence, yet feeling the warmth and calm that radiated from the fabric. Tia placed the cloth beside her pillow that night and dreamed of golden horns glinting in the moonlight, the gentle rattle of a sistrum, and the goddess walking softly through her village, leaving trails of quiet joy in her wake. It was said that anyone who touched Tia's weaving could feel the calm of Hathor herself, and that the memory of this peace would linger in the heart like a quiet, golden flame. Along the banks of a quiet tributary of the Nile, a musician named Senmit played his flute each evening. The melody he produced was soft and lilting, but he always felt it lacked something, a depth of joy that could truly touch hearts. He would close his eyes, imagining the river shimmering under the sunset, and sigh, wishing for guidance. One evening, as the sky blushed with shades of pink and gold, a gentle warmth filled the air. Senmit looked up to see Hathor, radiant and serene, her golden horns catching the dying sun, her presence calm and comforting. She moved lightly toward him, her footsteps stirring ripples in the water as if the river itself followed her lead. "Child of music," she said softly, her voice like wind through reeds, "why do you worry that your song is lacking?" I wish my music could carry joy," Senmit admitted, "but it feels small compared to the river, the sky, or even the laughter of children." Hathor knelt beside him, brushing her fingers over the strings of his flute. The smallest song can ripple like the river and echo like the sun's warmth. Joy flows not from size or volume, but from the heart of the one who plays. "Let me guide your hands tonight." Under her gentle guidance, Senmit played again. Hathor shook her sistrum softly, blending its delicate clink with the flute's notes. Slowly, the melody seemed to take on a life of its own, entwining with the gentle murmur of the river, the rustling reeds, and the distant calls of birds returning to their nests. Each note carried warmth, each pause brought calm, and by the time the moon rose, the entire riverbank seemed to glow with the quiet joy of the music. Senmit's heart swelled with wonder. "It feels alive," he whispered. "Yes," Hathor replied, smiling, "for joy and music are inseparable. When the heart sings, all the world listens. Carry this with you, and let every melody be a river of light to those who hear it." As she departed, Senmit continued playing, the river reflecting not only the moonlight, but the invisible thread of golden joy Hathor had woven through his music. Travelers passing by would later whisper of the melody that touched their hearts and seemed to glow with unseen light, unaware of the goddess herself walking softly among reeds, guiding every note with her gentle presence. Deep in a valley where the desert met the river, there lay an orchard known only to those who wandered far from the villages. Its trees bore fruits that glowed faintly under the moon, and the air carried a scent of blossoms, warm and calming. Few mortals found this place, yet those who did carried its peace within their hearts forever. One night, a young girl named Menhet stumbled upon the orchard while searching for herbs. She was weary, her thoughts heavy with worries of illness in her family and the unending labor of daily life. The moonlight shimmered across the golden fruits, and she paused, drawn forward by the gentle warmth in the air. Hathor appeared softly, her golden horns catching the moonlight like two small suns. She walked lightly between the trees, her presence comforting and calm, radiating a gentle glow. "Child," she said, voice flowing like water, "why do you wander alone in the night?" I cannot sleep," Menhet whispered. "My heart is heavy. I fear the darkness and the troubles I cannot solve." Hathor knelt beside her, brushing a hand over the soft earth. "The night is only a resting place, a quiet pause. Darkness need not frighten the heart. Rest here, and let the orchard cradle your thoughts while I walk with you." Together, they wandered among the glowing trees. Hathor plucked a golden fruit and handed it to Menhet. "Touch it. Feel its warmth. Let it remind you that joy exists, even in small, hidden places." Menhet did, and a wave of calm flowed through her. The orchard seemed to hum, its branches swaying in gentle rhythm with the goddess's presence. By midnight, Menhet lay beneath the trees, her worries lightened. Hathor walked among the orchard silently, shaking her sistrum in a soft, hypnotic rhythm. The gentle music mingled with the breeze, carrying dreams of golden rivers, dancing stars, and quiet laughter. Menhet slept peacefully, her heart touched by the goddess's care. When she awoke at dawn, the orchard glowed faintly in the first sunlight. She carried the calm of that night with her always, knowing that wherever shadows fell, Hathor's light could follow, turning fear into peace and loneliness into gentle companionship. In a village tucked between low hills and the Nile, a silversmith named Kemwis labored quietly. His hands were skilled, shaping silver into delicate jewelry, yet his creations always felt incomplete. No matter how finely he polished or engraved, something essential seemed missing, a spark of life, a whisper of joy. One evening, as the sun dipped behind distant hills, casting long shadows across his workshop, Kemwis whispered, "If only I could craft something that sings with the heart, that carries warmth to others." A soft golden light filled the room, warm and gentle. Hathor appeared, her horns glinting in the last rays of sunlight. She moved slowly, radiating calm, as though the air itself bent softly around her. "Child of silver and flame," she said, her voice flowing like water, "your hands hold skill, yet your heart seeks the spark. Let me show you how to find it." Kemwis trembled, awe-filling him. "Lady Hathor." I do not know if I am worthy of your presence." "You are worthy," she replied gently, placing her hands over his. Creation is never about perfection alone. Joy, care, and intention are the true treasures. Let the silver feel your heart, and it will shine with life. Under her guidance, Kemwis began again. The silver seemed to hum beneath his fingers as he shaped it, taking inspiration from the gentle curves of Hathor's horns, the sway of lotus reeds, and the shimmer of the Nile. Soft patterns of light and movement appeared in the metal, not engravings, but subtle waves that seemed to catch the warmth of the sun and the glow of moonlight alike. By midnight, the first complete piece was finished, a necklace so delicate it seemed almost to breathe, catching golden light as though alive. Hathor smiled, softly shaking her sistrum. "See? When creation flows from joy, it carries life beyond your hands." Kemwis spent the next days crafting quietly, each piece imbued with a gentle warmth, admired not only for skill but for the invisible light that flowed through it. Travelers and villagers alike felt calm and peace in the presence of his creations, unaware that the goddess herself had passed her hand through the silver, leaving a trace of her golden calm in every curve. Along the river's edge, a small village prepared for the annual Lantern Festival, a night when villagers would float lanterns upon the water to honor Ra and the river's blessings. The villagers worked carefully, shaping delicate lanterns, but a sense of restlessness lingered in the air, a quiet unease as though the festival needed something more. As the sun slipped below the horizon, Hathor appeared, her golden horns glinting against the twilight. She walked among the villagers silently, radiating warmth and calm, her presence gentle as the river breeze. A young boy named Kemet approached her, holding a small lantern. "Lady Hathor, will you bless our festival?" I wish for the river to sing tonight." Hathor knelt beside him. "I will walk with you," she said softly. "But remember, the river already sings through your heart and through every hand that sets the lantern afloat. Let me help you notice it." Together, they placed lanterns upon the river. Hathor shook her sistrum lightly, and the sound blended with the gentle ripple of the water. Each lantern glowed brighter, floating calmly downstream, casting golden reflections across the villagers' faces. The river itself seemed to hum, carrying soft music to the reeds, the trees, and the banks of distant villages. Kemet's eyes widened. It feels alive," he whispered. "Yes," Hathor replied. "Every light you place carries hope. Every hand that participates shares joy. And when you work with care and love, the world itself echoes your intentions." By midnight, hundreds of lanterns floated gently, illuminating the river with golden warmth. Villagers watched in awe, feeling calm and peace settle into their hearts. Hathor lingered along the banks, walking quietly between shadows, her sistrum's soft music mingling with the river's gentle murmur. When she finally departed, the villagers felt her presence remain in the lanterns, in the ripples of the water, and in their own hearts. Long after the festival ended, the memory of the goddess walking among them carried a quiet joy, a light that could be summoned whenever life felt heavy or dark. In a village near the cliffs that overlooked the Nile, A young painter named Nefrit worked tirelessly to capture the colors of sunrise. Each morning, she climbed the hillside with her brushes and pigments, striving to translate the sky's brilliance onto her canvas. Yet, day after day, she felt her paintings fell short, as if the sun itself had evaded her grasp. One morning, as the first light of dawn touched the water, a gentle warmth filled the air. Hathor appeared, her golden horns reflecting the soft hues of sunrise, her presence calm and radiant. She walked lightly along the hillside, her robes flowing like the morning breeze. "Child of colors," she said softly, kneeling beside Nefrit, "why do you labor so, yet feel incomplete?" I wish to paint the sun, Lady Hathor," Nefrit whispered, "but it always seems just beyond my reach. No matter how I mix the colors, the light feels missing." Hathor smiled gently, placing her hand over the painters. "The sun cannot be captured with pigments alone. True light comes from joy within your heart. Let me help you see it in a way that touches both the eye and the soul." Together, they worked in silence, Hathor guiding Nefrit's brush with subtle, almost invisible gestures. The sky's reflection on the Nile shimmered in the paint, the golden warmth of morning infused the canvas, and soft shadows danced in harmony with the colors. Birds rose from the reeds, their wings catching sunlight, their songs blending with the gentle rustle of the morning wind. By mid-morning, Nefrit stepped back, awestruck. The canvas glowed softly, as though alive, capturing not just the sun, but the gentle pulse of life along the riverbanks. It feels alive," she whispered. Hathor nodded, her eyes serene. "It is your joy, your heart, and your care that give life to your creation. When you paint with love, the world itself joins your brush." From that day, travelers visiting the village would marvel at Nefrit's sunrise paintings, feeling a calm warmth in their hearts, unaware that the goddess herself had walked beside the painter, leaving golden traces of light in each stroke. Far into the desert, beyond any well-trodden path, lay a hidden spring. Its waters were clear and calm, a secret gift for travelers who had wandered too far under the harsh sun. Few mortals knew of its existence, yet those who discovered it often left carrying a quiet peace that lingered in their hearts for years. One evening, a weary traveler named Jed walked toward the spring, his steps slow and uncertain. His journey had been long, the heat relentless, and he whispered to himself, "If I can only find water, perhaps my heart will find rest as well." Hathor appeared before him, radiating gentle warmth, her golden horns catching the last rays of sun. She knelt beside the spring, letting the water shimmer across her fingertips. "Child," she said softly, "why do you walk so heavily?" I am tired," Lady Hathor, Jed admitted, "and I fear my journey may end here in despair." "Even the longest path can be softened," she replied. "The journey itself carries gifts if your heart remains open. Let me guide you for a while, and feel the calm that already exists around you." Jed knelt beside her, cupping the water in his hands. It was cool and refreshing, carrying not only life, but a gentle sense of reassurance. Hathor shook her sistrum softly, the sound mingling with the spring's ripple, filling the air with quiet music. As night fell, Jed sat beside the spring, feeling his worries melt into the gentle rhythm of the water. He whispered softly, "It feels as if the desert itself rests with me." "Yes," Hathor said, her voice a gentle echo, "for peace exists not only in places, but in hearts open enough to notice it. Rest now and carry this calm with you on every step of your journey." By dawn, Jed continued on his path, refreshed and light-hearted. The spring's quiet blessing lingered in his spirit, a subtle reminder of the goddess who walked among hidden waters, leaving trails of calm and gentle joy wherever mortals wandered. In a small village tucked along the Nile, a weaver named Hatshepsut labored endlessly at her loom. Her fingers were nimble, her patterns intricate, yet the fabrics she created felt hollow, lacking warmth. Each day, she would gaze at the river, listening to its gentle murmur, and wonder if her hands could ever capture its rhythm and life. One evening, as the sun lowered itself in the sky, turning the water into molten gold, a gentle warmth filled the air. Hathor appeared, her golden horns glinting like twin suns, her presence soft and radiant. She walked slowly along the riverbank, her robes flowing with the wind, carrying a subtle scent of lotus blossoms and warm earth. "Child of threads and patterns," Hathor said, kneeling beside the loom, "why do you labor so tirelessly, yet feel incomplete?" Hatshepsut trembled, bowing low. "Lady Hathor, I wish my weaving could carry the life of the river itself, the calm of its gentle current, the warmth of its sunlight, but it feels empty." Hathor placed her hand gently over Hatshepsut's. "Life flows not from skill alone. Joy, intention, and love breathe spirit into every thread. Let your heart guide your fingers as the river guides the reeds." Together, they worked through the fading light. Hathor's touch was light but steady, demonstrating subtle ways to let the patterns breathe with motion and warmth. The threads began to shimmer faintly, capturing the golden glow of the sunset, the gentle curve of the reeds, and the soft ripple of the water. Birds perched nearby, their wings catching the last sunlight, and the distant call of a heron added a quiet rhythm. By nightfall, Hatshepsut's loom had produced a tapestry so alive it seemed to sway slightly in the breeze, as if carrying the river's pulse. The villagers who came to see it were enchanted. The warmth, joy, and gentle life infused in the threads reached into their hearts. Hathor lingered until the first stars appeared, her presence a soft hum in the night. "Remember," she said softly, "creation born from the heart carries a light that will linger long after the hands have finished. Your work is not empty if joy flows through it." Hatshepsut, her eyes shining with newfound wonder, touched the tapestry and felt the river's calm pulse. That night, she slept under the sound of the flowing Nile, dreaming of golden light, whispering reeds, and the gentle goddess who walked silently beside her, leaving warmth in every thread. Far across the desert, a hidden oasis shimmered beneath a full moon. Palm trees swayed softly in the breeze, their reflection mirrored perfectly in the still water. A young dancer named Merit moved barefoot across the soft sand, her movements flowing like water, yet her heart was restless. Though her steps were graceful, she felt they lacked the light that could touch others' hearts and inspire true joy. As she twirled beneath the moonlight, a soft warmth filled the oasis. Hathor appeared, golden horns glinting, her presence calm and radiant, like sunlight melting into the water. She moved gently across the sand, her robes flowing like liquid gold. "Child of movement and rhythm," Hathor said softly, kneeling by the water, "why do you dance if your heart feels incomplete?" I wish to bring joy with my movements," Merit whispered, "yet it feels as if my steps touch only the sand, not the hearts of those who watch." Hathor smiled gently, holding her sistrum. "Joy does not spring from effort alone. Each gesture, each step carries your heart. Let me guide you to feel the music within, and it will reach beyond your body into the hearts of others." They danced together beneath the moonlight. Hathor's sistrum clinked softly, blending with the gentle rustle of palms and the distant call of night birds. Merit's movements became freer, more flowing, infused with the goddess's warmth. The sand seemed to ripple in time with her steps, and the water mirrored the dance as if the oasis itself joined in. Hours passed unnoticed. Merit's heart began to hum with quiet joy, each motion carrying light into the air. When she finally paused, breathless and smiling, the oasis glimmered with a soft golden glow, as if the world itself had been touched by the dance. Hathor knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Remember, child, the heart is the truest instrument. Dance with love, and all who watch will feel it." Every step carries light, even when unseen. Merit returned to her village in the early dawn, her movements now infused with gentle radiance. Travelers who saw her dance felt warmth in their hearts, calm spreading through their spirits. And in quiet moments, when moonlight touched sand or water, they swore they could see a golden goddess moving silently beside her, leaving traces of joy and peace in every step. In a small temple beside the Nile, a young scribe named Tomo sat alone, quill in hand, attempting to copy sacred texts. His writing was neat, precise, Yet the words seemed dry, lacking the warmth and life that should have flowed from their meaning. He sighed, rubbing tired eyes, and whispered, "If only I could bring these words to life, to carry the spirit of the gods into hearts." Hathor appeared as a soft golden glow in the corner of the temple, her horns glinting faintly, her presence radiating calm. The candles flickered gently, casting shadows that seemed to bow to her presence. "Child of letters and ink," she said, her voice flowing like warm water, "why do you labor so tirelessly, yet feel your work is hollow?" Tamos started, startled. "Lady Hathor, I only wish to honor the gods, to pass wisdom, but it feels empty. I fear my words do not sing." Hathor moved closer, her fingers brushing the quill delicately. "True life flows not only from skill, but from heart. Let me show you how to breathe joy into these words, how to allow their meaning to resonate with the soul." For hours, she guided him subtly. When he copied a line, she whispered encouragement. When he paused, she shared quiet stories of life along the Nile. Slowly, the words seemed to shimmer on the papyrus, carrying warmth, gentleness, and a rhythm that mimicked the gentle current of the river. As night deepened, Tamos' hands moved with newfound ease. The sacred texts he copied now seemed alive, as though each character carried a pulse, a heartbeat. The temple walls, touched by the flickering candlelight and Hathor's presence, radiated a calm so profound that even the small birds nesting in the rafters slept peacefully. By dawn, the scribe sat back, eyes shining. "It feels alive," he whispered. "Yes," Hathor said, smiling softly. "When the heart guides the hand, words breathe. They carry joy, calm, and warmth. Share them freely, and all who read will feel the life you pour into them." The temple, bathed in morning light, seemed brighter than before. Travelers passing through centuries later would remark on the gentle, almost magical quality of the texts, unaware that a golden goddess had walked silently beside the scribe, leaving traces of calm and joy in every line. High on a hill overlooking a small village, a potter named Nebamin worked through the night. The soft glow of the moon illuminated his clay, revealing intricate patterns he had shaped, yet each vessel felt incomplete. The curves were perfect, the surfaces smooth, but there was no warmth, no whisper of life in them. He paused, sighing, and whispered to the night, "If only my hands could create joy, not just forms." Hathor appeared in a gentle shimmer, her golden horns catching moonlight, her presence calm and serene. The air seemed to thrum softly with her warmth. "Child of clay and earth," she said, her voice soft as water over stones, "why do you toil through the night if your heart feels empty?" Nebamin knelt, startled. "Lady Hathor, I only wish to craft something alive, something that brings joy. But it eludes me." "Life is not in perfection alone," Hathor replied, placing her hand gently on a partially formed vase. "It flows from intention, care, and the quiet joy in your heart. Let me guide your hands tonight." Together, they worked. Hathor's guidance was subtle, a gentle shift here, a whispered suggestion there. The clay seemed to respond to her presence, softening and shaping itself in harmony with Nebamin's intent. The moonlight glinted off faint patterns that emerged naturally, like ripples across a golden pond. The night air carried the distant song of crickets and the soft hum of a desert breeze, blending with Hathor's subtle sistrum to create a lullaby of creation. By dawn, Nebamin's workshop glowed softly. Each vase and bowl radiated a quiet warmth, as though it held a pulse of life. Villagers who entered felt calm, their hearts lifted by the subtle joy infused into every piece. Hathor lingered until the first rays of sunlight touched the hilltop. "Remember," she said softly, "creation guided by love and joy carries life beyond your hands. It will touch those who encounter it long after you lay down your tools." Nebamin, gazing at his creations, felt a profound peace. He knew the memory of Hathor walking beside him would linger, infusing every vessel with the gentle warmth of her presence. And in quiet moments, villagers swore they could feel a golden calm radiating from the pottery, a blessing of a goddess who walked among mortals silently, leaving joy and serenity wherever she went. Along the winding banks of the Nile, A young musician named Ameni played his lyre beneath the moonlight. The strings sang softly, yet his heart felt unsteady. Each note seemed clear, but hollow, lacking the warmth that could lift weary hearts. The gentle ripple of the river, the whisper of reeds, and the distant croak of frogs all seemed just beyond his music, teasing him with the feeling of a melody he could not quite reach. Hathor appeared quietly, a golden shimmer emerging from the reeds. Her horns reflected the pale moonlight, and her presence radiated calm, as though the air itself had softened to welcome her. She knelt beside Ameni, her voice gentle as flowing water. "Child of strings and song, why do you play if your heart is unsettled?" I wish to bring peace through my music, Lady Hathor," Ameni admitted, "but it feels as though the notes slip through my fingers, unable to carry the joy I want to share." Hathor smiled softly, brushing her fingers across the lyre. "Music is not measured by skill alone, but by the heart that moves it. Let me guide you, and the river itself will carry your song." They played together, slowly, the goddess's subtle rhythm blending with the soft murmur of the river. Ameni felt warmth spreading through him as each note intertwined with the gentle rustle of reeds, the glint of moonlight on the water, and the faint singing of night birds. Slowly, the hollow sound of his lyre transformed into a melody that shimmered with life, carrying calm and gentle joy to everything it touched. Hours passed in quiet harmony. Ameni's heart swelled as the music seemed to extend beyond the riverbank, rippling into the distant villages. Hathor's sistrum chimed softly, weaving through each note, and the air itself seemed to glow with quiet light. When dawn began to brush the horizon with pale gold, Hathor knelt beside him, her presence slowly fading with the moon's retreat. "Child, remember that music flows from the heart. Every note played with love carries joy beyond the reach of your hands." Ameni rose, his spirit lighter, the gentle echo of the goddess lingering in every string. Travelers passing by would later speak of a melody that seemed to rise from the river itself, calm and radiant, unaware that Hathor had walked beside the musician under the moonlight, leaving traces of her warmth and guidance in each note. Deep in the desert, where golden dunes stretched endlessly under the sun, a hidden spring lay tucked beneath palms and rocks, its water cool and clear. Few mortals ever found it, but those who did often discovered not just relief, but a quiet sense of serenity, as if the desert itself had decided to share its heart. One late afternoon, a weary traveler named Teddy stumbled upon the spring. His steps were slow, each footfall heavy with exhaustion. The sand had burned his hands and face, and he whispered to himself, "If I could just rest, if only my heart could feel peace." A warm glow shimmered above the spring. Hathor appeared, her golden horns catching the sun's final rays, her presence radiating calm. She knelt beside him, her hands skimming the surface of the water. "Child," she said softly, "why do you wander so heavily across the sands?" I am tired, Lady Hathor," Teddy admitted, lowering himself beside the spring. "The journey has been long, and my heart feels empty." "Even the longest journey carries gifts if the heart is open," she replied. "Rest here for a while, and let the quiet of the spring remind you that calm is always nearby." Together, they sat beside the water. Hathor's sistrum chimed softly, blending with the gentle ripple of the spring and the distant whisper of desert wind through the palms. Teddy cupped water in his hands, its coolness spreading through him like sunlight over chilled stone. Slowly, he felt his exhaustion ease, his worries soften, replaced by a gentle warmth he could not name but recognized as belonging to the goddess. As night fell, Hathor stood, her golden horns gleaming faintly under the stars. "Peace exists not only in places, but in hearts open enough to notice it," she said. "Carry this calm with you, and let it flow through every step of your journey." Teddy slept beneath the palms, the gentle sound of water blending with the whisper of the goddess's presence. By morning, he awoke refreshed, the quiet blessing of Hathor lingering in his heart, a golden thread of calm and joy that would guide him across deserts, valleys, and all the paths of life ahead. Far along a quiet tributary of the Nile, where the water ran slow and golden in the afternoon sun, there existed a hidden orchard known only to a few wandering souls. Its trees bore leaves that shimmered faintly like silver in the light, and the air carried a subtle, calming fragrance of blooming flowers. It was said that the orchard whispered to those who needed peace, but few mortals had the patience to hear its song. A young gardener named Nefret had stumbled upon it during her wanderings. Her hands were tired from the labor of tending small plots in her village, her heart heavy with worry for her sick brother and the crops that seemed to struggle under the sun's harsh glare. She sat beneath a shimmering silver tree, her arms wrapped around her knees, sighing softly into the warm breeze. If only there were a way to make life gentler, she murmured. From the golden shimmer among the leaves, Hathor appeared. Her horns gleamed softly, catching the sun's rays, and her presence radiated warmth and tranquility. The leaves themselves seemed to sway toward her, their silver shimmer deepening as she walked closer. "Child," she said softly, kneeling beside Nefret, "why do you carry such worry when the world offers quiet moments of joy?" I do all I can, Lady Hathor," Nefret whispered. "I tend the garden, I care for my brother, yet the weight of it all never lifts. I wish I could make life lighter, for him, for me, for everyone." Hathor reached out, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "The world is vast, and burdens may weigh upon hearts, but every act of care, every moment of love, plants a seed of light. Let me show you how to see it within your work and within yourself." Together, they walked through the orchard. Hathor guided Nefret's hands as she touched the silver leaves, showing her how to sense the quiet pulse of life beneath the soil, the gentle sway of water flowing to the roots, and the small miracles of growth happening quietly in every plant. The breeze carried faint chimes, as though each leaf whispered secrets of patience and hope. Nefret felt the heaviness in her heart ease, replaced by a gentle warmth she could not name. Hours passed unnoticed. Hathor taught her to weave calm into her care, in watering, in pruning, in planting. Each motion, each touch, began to shimmer faintly, as though the orchard itself joined in her labor. By nightfall, Nefret's hands glowed with a quiet warmth, and the silver leaves seemed to hum softly in response. Hathor shook her sistrum gently, the sound echoing like a lullaby over the water and through the orchard. "Remember, child," she said, "even the smallest act of love carries light into the world. When your heart moves with care, others will feel it, even if they do not see it." Nefret lay beneath a silver-leafed tree that night, the gentle hum of the orchard mingling with her dreams. The stars reflected in the water, shimmering softly, and she felt the goddess's presence walking beside her, leaving traces of calm and warmth in every rustle of leaves. From that night forward, Nefret's care for her garden and her brother carried a golden serenity that touched all who came near, a quiet blessing from a goddess who moved silently among mortals, shaping joy and calm wherever she went. Across the vast desert, where heat danced upon endless dunes, a caravan of travelers made its slow journey toward distant markets. Their camels plodded through the sand, their feet heavy, their loads cumbersome, and a sense of weariness settled across every soul. The sun blazed above, yet the sky held a softness, promising a cooling evening. A young merchant named Amenemhat sighed as he adjusted the weight of his sacks, whispering to the winds, "If only the journey could feel lighter, if only there were guidance in this vast desert." From a shimmer of golden light in the distance, Hathor appeared, her horns glowing like two small suns, her robes flowing with the desert breeze. The air itself seemed to soften as she walked toward the caravan, radiating calm and gentle warmth. Each step she took seemed to ripple softly across the sand, and the camels lifted their heads, sensing a presence unlike any mortal. "Child of travel and toil," she said softly, kneeling beside Amenemhat, "why do you carry such weight in your heart when the journey itself offers moments of wonder?" I am tired, Lady Hathor," he admitted. "The desert is endless, and our caravan moves slowly. My heart grows weary, and fear whispers in the night." Hathor smiled, her hand brushing against the soft sand. "Even the longest paths may be eased with attention to the small gifts along the way. Let me show you how to find light in what seems barren." She walked among the caravan, lightly shaking her sistrum. The soft chime mingled with the desert breeze, carrying a melody that seemed to lighten the air. Slowly, the travelers noticed small wonders, the gentle glint of a sun-bleached stone, the rhythm of wind over dunes, the quiet songs of desert birds returning home. Hathor guided Amenemhat to release tension from his shoulders, to notice the grace of the camels, the soft glow of twilight, and the promise of night's cooling calm. As night fell, the caravan reached a hidden oasis, its waters still and reflective, its palms bending softly above the pool. Hathor lingered, allowing the travelers to drink, rest, and release their burdens. Lanterns were lit and floated across the water, glowing warmly, mirroring the stars above. Amenemhat watched, a calm settling over him he had not felt in days. Hathor spoke softly, "Remember, child, the journey itself is alive with quiet blessings. When hearts remain open, even hardship may carry beauty. Carry this light forward, and it will guide every step of your path." By morning, the caravan continued, but the oasis's calm lingered in their hearts. Amenemhat felt a subtle warmth in every motion, a serenity that would stay with him, carrying the quiet blessing of Hathor through sand, sun, and starry skies. Travelers would later speak of a mysterious golden presence that walked beside them under moonlight, leaving the desert alive with gentle joy and unseen guidance. In a village nestled near the eastern bank of the Nile, a baker named Teddy awoke each day before sunrise, kneading dough and preparing bread for the villagers. His hands were strong, his craft precise, yet he often felt a quiet emptiness as he worked. The bread was nourishing, but it lacked a certain warmth, a subtle joy that could make hearts lighter. Each morning, he gazed out over the river, watching the soft golden reflections, and sighed, whispering to himself, "If only my bread could carry more than hunger, if only it could carry happiness." One soft dawn, as the sky glimmered with pale gold and pink, a gentle warmth filled Teddy's small kitchen. Hathor appeared in a shimmer of light, her golden horns catching the early sun, her presence calm and serene. The flour in the air seemed to settle softly around her, and the aroma of fresh dough mingled with the warmth she brought. "Child of warmth and sustenance," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside him, "why do you labor so tirelessly if your heart feels empty?" Teddy blinked, startled. "Lady Hathor, I only wish my bread could bring more than nourishment. I want it to carry calm, joy, warmth, something my hands cannot seem to create." Hathor smiled softly. "Creation carries spirit when the heart is present. Let me show you how to breathe calm into your work so that every loaf can carry the gentle light of joy." Together, they worked. Hathor's hands brushed against his, guiding him to fold the dough with intention, to feel the warmth as it grew, to sense its rhythm like a living being. The soft clink of her sistrum accompanied the rising dough, a subtle music that mingled with the morning sounds, birds stirring, the river murmuring, the wind brushing through palm fronds. Hours passed in quiet collaboration. The dough rose, infused not only with yeast, but with the invisible warmth of Hathor's presence. When Teddy placed the first loaves in the oven, their golden surfaces glimmered faintly, radiating calm as though the sun itself had kissed them. Villagers who came to collect bread later felt a deep peace as they carried it home, as if the loaf contained not just nourishment, but a whisper of the goddess's gentle care. Hathor lingered until the sun climbed high, watching Teddy work with renewed confidence. "Remember, child," she said softly, "every act of care, every intention poured into creation carries light. Your bread now touches hearts because your heart touches it first." That night, Teddy slept peacefully, dreaming of golden horns glinting in the sun, the soft clink of a sistrum blending with the aroma of bread, and the gentle presence of Hathor walking silently through the village, leaving warmth and calm in her path. In a remote desert village, a potter named Iamos shaped clay under the fierce sun. His hands were calloused and skilled, yet the pieces he created felt cold and lifeless. Each bowl, each jar, seemed to echo emptiness, and the wind blowing through the desert carried a reminder of all that was missing. He paused, running his fingers across a newly formed vase, whispering to himself, "If only my hands could create something alive, something that carries joy." As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky with molten gold, a soft golden glow appeared along the dunes. Hathor emerged, her horns catching the fading sunlight, her presence serene and warm. The air itself seemed to hum with calm as she approached, the desert sand bending lightly beneath her steps. "Child of earth and fire," she said softly, kneeling beside Iamos, "why do you labor so if your heart feels empty?" I only wish my clay could carry life," Iamos admitted, "but it refuses to hold warmth, to speak to the soul of anyone who touches it." Hathor placed her hand gently over his, and the clay beneath seemed to shimmer faintly in response. "Life flows not from shape alone, but from intention and care. Let me guide your hands, and your heart will speak through every curve." Together, they worked as the sun set, the sky turning deep orange and purple. Hathor's sistrum sounded softly, blending with the whisper of the desert wind and the distant call of a lone desert bird. Iamos followed her subtle guidance, allowing the clay to breathe, to curve naturally, and to capture not just form, but warmth and rhythm. Patterns emerged that echoed the waves of dunes, the gentle flicker of desert light, and the pulse of the earth beneath his feet. By nightfall, the first pieces were complete. Each bowl and jar radiated a quiet glow, infused with subtle warmth that seemed almost alive. The villagers who visited marveled at the beauty and serenity of the pottery, feeling calm and gentle joy in their hearts. They did not see Hathor herself, but the golden traces of her presence lingered in every curve and line. Hathor lingered beside the potter, shaking her sistrum softly, letting its quiet music blend with the desert night. "Remember, child," she whispered, "when the heart moves with care and joy, creation itself becomes alive. The world carries it forward, touching those you may never meet." Iamos slept beneath the stars, the desert wind whispering softly, carrying with it the presence of Hathor, whose golden light had walked silently beside him, leaving warmth, calm, and joy in every piece of clay he shaped. In a quiet village along a wide bend of the Nile, a baker named Senub labored each morning, kneading dough and shaping loaves as the sun rose. His hands were practiced and strong, and his bread was nourishing, yet Senub felt a gentle emptiness lingering over his work. Each loaf seemed to carry sustenance, but little warmth, little joy. He would pause at the riverbank before beginning his day, listening to the gentle ripple of water over reeds, and whisper softly, "If only my bread could carry more than hunger, if only it could carry a quiet happiness for those who eat it." One morning, as the first light of dawn shimmered over the Nile, a warm golden glow filled the air. Hathor appeared softly, her horns catching the sunlight, her presence calm and radiant. The wind carried a subtle fragrance of lotus and freshly turned earth as she moved among the reeds. The river itself seemed to ripple in response to her presence. "Child of flower and warmth," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside Senub, "why do you labor with such care if your heart feels empty?" Senub blinked in awe. "Lady Hathor, I wish my bread could bring more than nourishment. I wanted to carry calm, peace, perhaps a spark of joy, yet I do not know how." Hathor smiled and placed her hand gently on his. "The heart carries life into all it touches. Every action imbued with care and intention is a spark waiting to grow. Let me show you how to breathe calm into your work, so every loaf carries more than its weight." Together, they worked. Hathor guided Senub to feel the warmth of the dough as it rose, to fold it with intention, to let each kneading motion carry calm and joy. The sistrum in her hand chimed softly, blending with the river's gentle current, the distant calls of morning birds, and the rustle of reeds. Hours passed quietly. The dough grew soft and pliant, infused with something that seemed to hum with subtle warmth. When the bread emerged golden from the oven, it glimmered faintly as though the sun itself had kissed it. Villagers who came to collect bread later felt an unexpected calm settle over them. Their hearts felt lighter, their steps softer, and even the youngest children smiled in ways that seemed impossible before. Seneb marveled, his own heart swelling with quiet joy. Hathor's presence lingered, unseen yet palpable, as she whispered softly, "Every act of care carries light. Let your heart guide your hands, and your creations will touch the world in ways you cannot yet imagine." That night, Seneb lay beside the riverbank, dreaming of golden light, the gentle clink of the sistrum, and the warmth of bread rising in ovens, feeling Hathor's calm presence weaving gently through his heart. Far from the villages and the roads of trade, a hidden oasis shimmered beneath a sky littered with stars. Its waters were still and cool, reflecting the moon and the swaying palms. A young potter named Nacht came there after a long day of shaping clay, carrying worries in his heart about the dryness of the desert, the scarcity of materials, and the lifelessness of the pots he produced. He whispered softly, "If only my hands could craft something alive, something that carries warmth and joy." As moonlight poured across the oasis, a gentle golden glow appeared. Hathor emerged from the shimmer, her horns glinting softly, her presence calm and luminous. The air seemed to breathe around her, carrying the scent of warm earth and cool water, mingling with the whisper of desert wind. "Child of clay and hands," she said softly, kneeling beside Nacht, "why do you labor if your heart feels heavy?" I only wish my creations could speak to others, Lady Hathor," Nacht admitted. "They feel lifeless, even though I give them every ounce of care I can. I cannot make them alive." Hathor placed a gentle hand over his. "Life flows not from skill alone, but from love, care, and the quiet joy you carry. Let me guide your hands tonight and listen closely to the rhythm of the earth and water." Together, they worked. The clay softened beneath Nacht's fingers, responding to the subtle guidance of Hathor's touch. The sistrum chimed softly, mingling with the rustle of palm leaves, the ripple of water, and the distant hum of nocturnal desert life. Each vessel began to take shape naturally, curves mirroring the gentle sway of the oasis, patterns echoing the shimmer of moonlight across the water. By midnight, Nacht's hands were weary, yet each jar, each bowl, radiated a subtle warmth, a quiet pulse of life. When villagers later visited the oasis, they marveled at the pottery, feeling calm, joy, and serenity in their hearts. They did not see Hathor, yet her presence lingered in every curve and line, in the whisper of the wind, in the soft reflection of moonlight. Hathor shook her sistrum softly, letting its faint chime echo through the oasis. "Remember, child," she whispered, "creation infused with love carries life beyond your hands. Every person who touches it will feel it, even if they cannot name the source." Nacht slept beneath the palms that night, the desert breeze carrying the quiet blessing of Hathor. The pottery glimmered softly in the moonlight, each piece a reflection of her gentle guidance, leaving warmth, calm, and subtle joy in every corner of the oasis and every heart that would someday encounter it. Along the quiet banks of a winding Nile tributary, a young flutist named Khufu practiced each evening. His melodies were gentle, flowing like the river itself, but he felt they lacked a certain depth, a whisper of warmth that could reach the hearts of those who heard them. The reeds whispered in the evening breeze, the water shimmered with twilight gold, and the distant call of birds returning home seemed to mock the emptiness he felt. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a soft golden light appeared among the reeds. Hathor emerged, her horns glinting faintly against the fading sun, her presence calm and radiant. The air seemed to thrum with gentle warmth as she approached. "Child of wind and song," she said softly, kneeling beside him, "why do you play if your heart feels incomplete?" Khufu lowered his flute, startled. "Lady Hathor, I wish my music could carry more than notes. I want it to carry calm, joy, a subtle light, yet I cannot find it alone." Hathor smiled, placing her hand over his. "Music flows not only from skill, but from the heart that moves it. Let me show you how to let the river, the reeds, and your own care blend into melody." Together, they played. Hathor's sistrum chimed lightly, blending with the ripple of water, the rustle of reeds, and the soft song of twilight birds. Slowly, Khufu's music transformed. Notes shimmered like moonlight on water, carrying warmth and gentle joy. Each breath, each vibration seemed infused with subtle life. The river mirrored the sound, its ripples forming golden patterns along the banks, and even the reeds swayed as though listening to the quiet hymn. Hours passed unnoticed. Khufu's heart swelled with serenity. He felt a deep connection to every living thing along the river, as if the music itself had become a bridge between his heart and the world. Hathor's presence lingered like a soft glow, guiding the flow without intruding. When stars sparkled above, she knelt beside him and whispered, "Child, music shaped by care and joy touches more than ears, it touches hearts." Every note played with love carries a ripple of light. Khufu's fingers trembled as he lowered his flute. The melody lingered in the air like warm silk. Travelers passing by later spoke of a soft song along the river that seemed alive with gentle warmth, unaware that Hathor had walked among the reeds, leaving traces of calm and subtle joy in every note. In a village tucked along a low Nile terrace, a weaver named Merit worked tirelessly at her loom, attempting to capture the softness of moonlight in the threads. Her hands were nimble, her patterns intricate, yet the fabrics felt cold, lacking the gentle life that could touch hearts. She sighed, staring out at the calm river, whispering, "If only my weaving could carry warmth, if only it could carry the quiet light of joy." As moonlight shimmered across the river, a gentle golden glow appeared near her loom. Hathor emerged, her horns reflecting the pale silver of the moon, her presence soft and radiant. Even the threads seemed to quiver in response to her arrival, and the faint scent of lotus blossoms mingled with the night air. "Child of threads and care," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside her, "why do you labor if your heart feels incomplete?" I wish my weaving could carry life," Merit whispered. "I want the patterns to reach hearts, to bring calm and gentle joy, but I cannot find it alone." Hathor smiled, placing her hand over Merit's. "Creation carries life when the heart guides it. Let me show you how to weave the quiet joy you feel into each thread, so it flows outward." Together, they worked in silence. Hathor's fingers brushed lightly across the threads, showing Merit how to let rhythm, care, and intention guide the weave. The loom's soft clatter blended with the ripple of the river, the rustle of reeds, and the distant call of night birds. Slowly, patterns began to shimmer faintly, capturing moonlight, the gentle sway of trees, and the warmth of the river's current. Hours passed unnoticed. Merit's weaving began to glow subtly, as if carrying a heartbeat of calm. The villagers who later saw her work felt a quiet peace, their hearts lifted by the gentle warmth infused into each thread. Hathor lingered until the first hints of dawn, shaking her sistrum softly, letting its delicate chime echo like a lullaby through the village. "Remember, child," she whispered, "when the heart shapes creation, it carries life beyond the hands. Every thread woven with care reaches someone, even if unseen." Merit slept beneath the silver light of the moon, her dreams infused with golden warmth, the gentle sway of threads, and the quiet presence of Hathor, who moved silently among mortals, leaving serenity and joy in her wake. In a quiet village nestled near the eastern edge of the Nile, a lampmaker named Hormheb labored long into the twilight hours. His hands were precise, his work meticulous, yet each lamp seemed to lack something, a subtle glow that could carry comfort and calm to those who would use them. The flames he kindled within his creations flickered, but the warmth he longed for never fully reached his heart or the hearts of those who saw them. He sighed softly, staring at the lamps arrayed on his workbench, whispering to the shadows, "If only my lamps could carry more than light, if only they could carry serenity." As dusk deepened and the first stars began to shimmer, a golden glow appeared near the riverbank. Hathor emerged, her horns catching the last rays of the sun and reflecting them softly, her presence radiating warmth and calm. Even the air seemed to pause, carrying the gentle scent of lotus and warm earth, mingling with the faint glow of lamp oil. "Child of fire and light," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside him, "why do you labor if your heart feels incomplete?" Hormheb blinked, awestruck. "Lady Hathor, I wish my lamps could offer more than brightness. I want them to bring comfort, calm, even quiet joy, yet I do not know how to give them life." Hathor smiled and placed a gentle hand over his. "True light comes not from fire alone, but from the heart guiding it. Let me show you how to pour calm and intention into your work so that every flame carries warmth beyond mere sight." Together, they worked. Hathor guided him subtly, a soft brush here, a careful shaping there, letting each lamp reflect the quiet rhythm of the river, the gentle sway of reeds, and the faint whisper of desert wind. The sistrum chimed softly, blending with the rustle of evening air and the distant song of night birds. Hours passed unnoticed, yet the lamps began to glow differently. Not just light, but a gentle aura that seemed to settle over any space, calming those who entered and warming their hearts in ways invisible. When the villagers returned that night, they marveled at the lamp's subtle glow. The light seemed to linger in their memories, softening worries and bringing gentle warmth. Hormheb felt his heart swell quietly. Hathor lingered, her golden presence blending with the flickering flames. "Remember, child," she whispered softly, "light guided by the heart reaches beyond sight. Every lamp you create with care will touch someone, even if they never know why." That night, Hormheb slept peacefully, dreams filled with golden light, the gentle chime of a sistrum, and the knowledge that Hathor had walked beside him, leaving traces of calm, warmth, and quiet joy in every flame. At the edge of a small village beneath the cliffs, a storyteller named Mary wandered nightly, recounting tales to children gathered around fires. His voice was soft, his stories full of wonder, yet he often felt a subtle emptiness in his words. They conveyed events, but rarely carried the warmth, the gentle magic, or the quiet joy that lingered in the hearts of his listeners afterward. He paused, gazing at the moon rising over the desert, and whispered, "If only my words could touch more than ears. If only they could touch hearts." As moonlight spilled across the sand, a warm golden glow shimmered beside him. Hathor appeared, her horns reflecting the pale silver of the moon, her presence soft and calm. Even the firelight seemed to bend slightly toward her, and the night carried a faint melody of lotus blossoms and distant river reeds. "Child of words and voice," she said gently, kneeling beside him, "why do you speak if your heart feels incomplete?" I wish my stories could carry more than tales," Mary admitted. "I want them to carry gentle joy, calm, and warmth, but I cannot find it alone." Hathor placed a hand over his. "True magic flows not from words alone, but from the care and warmth of the heart telling them. Let me show you how to let intention and love breathe into your tales, so they touch hearts quietly yet deeply." Together, they worked through the night. Hathor guided him with subtle gestures, a soft hum of her sistrum blending with the crackle of the fire and the gentle night breeze. As Mary spoke, the stories began to shimmer, words carrying a gentle pulse of warmth. The children's eyes sparkled not just with wonder, but with calm, and even the adults nearby felt their burdens soften. The desert air seemed to hum along with the cadence of his voice, and the moon reflected the gentle glow of unseen magic in every listener's gaze. Hours passed unnoticed. When dawn's first light touched the desert, Mary felt a deep serenity. Hathor's presence lingered like a warm breeze. "Remember, child," she whispered, "words guided by heart carry life beyond hearing. Every story told with care will touch someone, even far away and long after the tale ends." Mary rested beneath the cliffs that morning, dreams full of golden horns, soft sister music, and the quiet magic of a goddess who walked among mortals, leaving calm, warmth, and joy wherever she went. High on a sun-baked terrace above a small Nile village, a young glassblower named Amenhotep shaped molten glass. The intense heat of the furnace shimmered in the air, and the fragile forms he crafted reflected sunlight in brilliant flashes. Yet, each piece, though delicate and beautiful, seemed empty, lacking a warmth that could carry serenity or gentle joy to anyone who beheld it. He paused, wiping sweat from his brow, and whispered to the fading day, "If only my creations could hold more than color and light, if only they could carry a quiet blessing." As dusk settled, the first stars began to appear, and a warm golden light shimmered beside the terrace. Hathor emerged, her horns catching the last rays of the sun and reflecting them softly, her presence calm and luminous. The air itself seemed to soften, carrying the gentle scent of lotus blossoms and warm desert wind, mingling with the faint glow of the molten glass. "Child of fire and craft," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside him, "why do you labor if your heart feels incomplete?" Amenhotep blinked, awestruck. "Lady Hathor, I wish my glass could carry more than light and color. I want it to carry calm, warmth, even joy, yet I do not know how to give it life." Hathor smiled, placing a hand gently over his. "Life flows not from skill alone, but from care and intention. Let me show you how to breathe gentle warmth into your work so that each creation reflects the heart guiding it." Together, they worked. Hathor's presence seemed to ripple through the molten glass, guiding Amenhotep's hands to shape curves that mirrored the flow of the river, the sway of reeds, and the shimmer of stars above. Her sistrum chimed softly, blending with the furnace's hum, the rustle of the evening breeze, and the distant call of night birds. Hours passed unnoticed. Each piece began to radiate a subtle inner glow, carrying warmth that seemed to reach into the soul of any who gazed upon it. Villagers who later admired the glass felt an unexpected calm, their hearts lightened, and their minds softened by the gentle aura within each piece. Hathor lingered, her presence shimmering faintly in the golden light. "Remember, child," she whispered softly, "every creation guided by care carries life beyond your hands. Your work touches hearts far beyond what you can see." Amenhotep slept beneath the stars, the gentle warmth of Hathor's presence lingering in every curve of his glass, leaving serenity, calm, and quiet joy in every reflection of light. In a hidden courtyard tucked between clay-walled houses, a young gardener named Tashai tended a small collection of night-blooming flowers. Their petals glimmered faintly under the moonlight, exhaling delicate fragrances that mingled with the cool desert air. Despite her care, the garden felt incomplete. The blossoms shimmered, but lacked the subtle life that could lift weary hearts or bring gentle joy. She knelt beside a silver-laced bloom, whispering to herself, "If only my garden could carry more than scent and color, if only it could carry calm and happiness." As the moon rose high, a golden glow appeared among the petals. Hathor emerged, her horns reflecting moonlight, her presence soft, serene, and warm. The air itself seemed to hum with calm, carrying the scent of lotus, desert wind, and flowering night plants. Even the petals seemed to sway toward her. "Child of earth and care," Hathor said gently, kneeling beside Tashai, "why do you labor if your heart feels incomplete?" I wish my garden could touch hearts," Tashai admitted. "I wanted to bring gentle joy, calm, and warmth, yet it feels empty." Hathor placed a hand over hers. "Life flows not from soil or water alone, but from the care and love you pour into it. Let me show you how to let joy and serenity bloom along with your flowers." Together, they worked through the night. Hathor guided Tashai's hands to touch the earth gently, to tend each bloom with intention, to feel the rhythm of life beneath the soil. Her sistrum chimed softly, blending with the rustle of leaves, the whisper of the night breeze, and the distant hum of nocturnal desert birds. Slowly, the flowers seemed to shimmer brighter, carrying subtle warmth that radiated outward, touching the hearts of those who walked through the courtyard. Hours passed unnoticed. Tashai felt a profound serenity in her chest as each flower seemed alive, humming faintly with calm. Hathor's presence lingered like a soft golden thread through the garden, teaching that joy planted with care grows beyond sight, reaching those who need it most. When dawn's first light touched the courtyard, Hathor knelt one last time, shaking her sistrum gently. "Remember, child," she whispered, "creation shaped by heart carries life beyond your hands. Your garden will touch hearts, even when unseen." Tashai lay beneath the moon's fading glow, dreaming of golden horns, gentle sister music, and the quiet blessing of Hathor, who moved silently among mortals, leaving warmth, calm, and joy wherever she wandered. As the sun dipped behind the distant western dunes, casting the world in a soft golden haze, Hathor walked along the Nile's edge, her golden horns glinting faintly in the fading light. The river's surface shimmered with the reflections of reeds, birds, and distant hills, and the gentle hum of life along its banks carried a quiet rhythm. In every village she had visited, every artisan she had guided, and every traveler she had touched, the warmth of her presence lingered, subtle but enduring, like the golden glow of twilight that softened shadows and eased the heart. This evening, Hathor paused upon a small sandbank where the river bent gracefully. From here, she could see the villages she had quietly walked through. The baker kneading dough in the glow of dawn, the potter shaping clay under the desert moon, the musician letting melody ripple across reeds, the flutist threading the river's rhythm through his song, the weaver capturing moonlight in silk, the gardener tending night-blooming flowers, and the glassblower coaxing molten light into shimmering forms. In each place, her subtle guidance had left traces of warmth, serenity, and quiet joy. She smiled softly, seeing how these tiny sparks of care and intention had multiplied, creating ripples across hearts and homes alike. The gentle sound of the sistrum rose from her hands, soft and melodious, blending with the river's whisper, the rustle of reeds, the distant murmur of village life, and the wind brushing across the dunes. It was a song not for herself, but for the hearts she had touched. In the sistrum's soft chime, one could feel the pulse of life, the rhythm of care, and the subtle magic of intention woven through the world. A young child appeared at the river's edge, one of many who had felt the invisible warmth of Hathor's presence. She watched the goddess with wide, awed eyes. "Lady Hathor," she whispered, her voice trembling like a leaf, "how can you carry so much warmth and still share it with everyone?" Hathor knelt gently, letting the child's small hands brush her own. "Child," she said softly, her voice flowing like warm water, "the heart carries more than the body can hold. Every act of care, every gentle intention multiplies. When we give quietly, even without words, life becomes brighter for others. The world is full of hearts ready to receive light, and everyone you touch becomes a new spark." The child smiled, eyes shining in the golden twilight. Hathor's gaze drifted back to the river, to the villages, and to the artisans who unknowingly carried fragments of her blessing in their work. Each loaf of bread, each piece of pottery, each song and story, each carefully woven fabric, each shimmering bloom, each glowing lamp and glass creation, all these were threads in a tapestry she had quietly woven, binding hearts together in gentle warmth. As the first stars appeared, Hathor raised her sistrum once more. The soft, melodic chime echoed across the water and dunes, a lullaby for the river, the villages, and every heart that had been touched. The air seemed to hold its breath, cradling the moment between day and night. Slowly she rose, her golden horns catching the first silver of moonlight, and walked quietly into the soft shadow of the dunes. The world she left behind was subtly brighter, calmer, gentler. Hearts carried warmth without knowing its source. Artisans worked with renewed serenity, travelers moved with quiet confidence, and children dreamed of golden light brushing through their lives. Hathor had walked among mortals, unseen yet deeply felt, leaving trails of golden calm and joy that would echo through the land long after she had departed. And as the night embraced the Nile, the river whispered in quiet ripples, reeds swayed softly, lanterns flickered in distant villages, and the moonlight glimmered on silver leaves and blooming flowers. In every place touched by her presence, a gentle blessing lingered, the invisible, enduring, and serene imprint of Hathor, goddess of love, music, joy, and calm, moving through the world with quiet grace. The golden twilight deepened into night, and all who rested felt it, a peace that could be carried in dreams, in hands, in hearts, and in every quiet act of care. And somewhere, in the soft shimmer of the stars, Hathor's gentle smile rested, a reminder that the world is always brighter when touched by love.